Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. Your host, Tracy Hayes. I want to point out to everyone that my guest today is already one of the best, as she just graduated from James Madison University in December of 2020.
Yep.
Correct. She's also, I assume you're close to a scratch golfer. You played collegiate golf at James Madison. If there's any guests that I've had on and you are considering and getting in real estate, this young lady is someone you need to tune into, because in less than a year, in her first year, she did just short of $10 million in volume in sales. And I assume there was some listings in there, possibly. Yep, in this very short year. But she is a real producer. Let's welcome the elegant Ella Woods to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. I follow you on social media. I like what you're doing there. It is, and then when I went and started, as I research all my people I'm coming on, to get a little background, like learned how you're a good golfer and all that type of stuff. So when I go do a sponsorship at a golf tournament, I always like to have my list of ringers.
Yes, I would love to join. Although I'm a little out of practice right now.
Okay. Well, you've been busy and you've had a sensational year, and it's as we talked before the show. If you want inspiration, if you're a new agent, maybe whether it's your first month or you've been doing this a couple years and it's not clicking with you yet, I think they need to listen to the show fully, because hopefully we're going to get some information out of you that's going to inspire them or give them some direction. Maybe it's your broker at Momentum. I don't know, whatever it is that helped you, and we're going to get that out of you here today. But Ella, let's start off the show. Where are you from?
So I was born in West Palm Beach, Florida, down in South Florida. The rest of my family lives down there, but my parents moved up here to Jacksonville, the St. John's area, when I was, 8 or 9 years old. Mm-hmm. So I've been here ever since then. I grew up playing junior golf here, played across the country. I've played out of the country a few times, so I've got to experience a lot at a young age, travel-wise and things like that, and kind of made me realize how special Jacksonville and St. John's, Florida truly is. Mm-hmm. And then I went to Bartram Trail here in this area, and then I went to James Madison University up in Virginia.
That's way up in Virginia. What made you connection? When a relative go there before, or what attracted you to James Madison?
So no connection at all. I had actually never heard of the school whenever the coach had reached out to me, and I was like, Virginia? I had never considered going there. I knew I wanted to stay in the Southeast if I went to school, but I went for my visit, and I saw the school and met the coach and the team, and absolutely loved it there, and just kind of an unexplainable feeling, felt like home, and that's where I was supposed to be. Right. So that's where I ended up, and I'm so happy.
Virginia is a beautiful state.
Yes.
I have relatives there. My aunt taught in Fairfax County, Virginia for over 30-some years, so she was there in the early 60s. Mm-hmm. My parents met in D.C. I still go up there. Most recently, we were not even a year and a half ago. Actually, it was probably about the time. No, COVID started. It was 2019, so a year before you graduated college. We went up there and toured D.C., but we did drive out in Southern Virginia, or that that is in the mountains. There is beautiful.
It is so beautiful.
What is it? It's a Route 80 that runs along the mountains.
I-81.
I-81.
Mm-hmm.
Is that is? If you've never driven that way, get off 95 and get over there.
Yes.
If you have time to drive north, take that route. It is one of the most beautiful areas of the country.
It's unexplainable being in there. I mean, growing up in Florida my whole life, I've never lived in any other place different than that. So it's just really cool to be in a different environment.
We actually look out, and there's actually a wall of trees.
Right, I know. Trees, or more than a sand hill.
Right, exactly. So you went to James Madison, and I think it was sports
management. I studied.
You studied. What did you envision yourself doing?
I envisioned myself being in golf marketing. So I love marketing, social media, and just bringing attention to things that I'm passionate about and love, and which was golf and still is. So I didn't necessarily see myself as a coach or anything like that, although I admired all my coaches throughout junior golf. But I really wanted to be in that, so I had internships at the First Tee. I was their marketing intern, as well as CAA Sports. Their golf office is over in Jacks Beach. So I really was driving to be in that direction in school.
Okay. Well, I got to step back just for a minute. What actually led you? Your dad a big golfer? Your mom a big golfer? Or what got you into golf?
So my dad started playing golf around when I was 6 years old, just with his buddies. He was no good by any means. Sorry, Dad.
I'm probably right with him, if not worse.
Yeah. So, but he started playing golf, and it was more so just like, hey, you want to come along with me, ride in the golf cart, give my mom a break. And it just turned into this great daddy-daughter time, and he'd be like, oh, you want to try and hit a golf ball? And I'd be like, sure. And it kind of just happened to
into lessons
and enjoying it. My first tournament was a 4-hole golf tournament. I mean, because that's how 6-year-olds play. So that's how I got into it. It was just with my dad.
That's cool. Because I have a good friend of mine. He actually went to Stetson's. He's Stetson's Hall of Fame for golf. Mm-hmm. He's coached some professional ladies actually on he still does on the LPGA tour, and most of his, father influence, because father was a great golfer. His grandfather actually played at a high level. But it's interesting. Your dad was a hacker like me, mm-hmm. and you just took it to another level. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed being out there and just spending time with family. So. All
right, so you're doing you're finishing up at James Madison, really, right? You're still at James Madison. You're doing some of these internships. Who put the scent of real estate in front of you?
I would say back to my junior year of college, I was home for summer, practicing, playing golf all the time, and my parents were considering renovating the home that they were in at the time. So they were going to all these model homes in the area. There's so much new construction in St. Johns County, honestly, just to get ideas for what they can do to their home. And they came home one day, and they were like, so we really need you to, stop golfing, and we need you to come to this model home with us because we're pretty sure we're going to build this house. I was like, what in the world are we doing here? And they're like, we really want your approval. My mom, because I have somewhat of an eye for things, my mom kind of takes my opinion at a greater weight maybe than my dad in some areas. So she was like, I really want your opinion on this.
It's funny, my wife does the same thing, and my daughter's 8 years old.
Oh, good. Too funny. So I went with them, and the site agent that was at this office, I just really struck me. She was a young lady. I'd say she was 24, 25. She was so professional. She was so sharp and on the ball. And it planted the seed in my head, I could do this. That's really cool. She's a boss babe, getting things done. Mm-hmm. So that planted the seed for me, but I still was on my golf marketing track. And then, honestly, when COVID hit in the spring of 2020, I think it was when TPC was going on, and we had one day of the golf tournament, and then it cut out, and honestly, all the sports stopped, as we all remember. Right. And there's no jobs in sports, and I was like, I have one semester left of college, and I'm going to be applying to jobs in the next few weeks here. And there's
with all the other people that are just let out of work that are going to be trying to get back into
And so there's no jobs in sports. In fact, people are getting laid off. So I was like, I need a plan B. What's something I could do that I don't need necessarily a degree for? And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to give real estate a shot. So over the quarantine summer, I got my license, studied for that, and went from there.
So you're finishing up your senior year at James Madison at the same time.
Yep.
You go and get your license. You're at Momentum. Mm-hmm. You haven't worked or put your sign up anywhere else.
Right.
What led you there?
So I feel like at the time I fell into it. So I really wanted to be a new construction consultant at first, because that's what kind of got me interested in the industry anyways. But I quickly learned that you need a little bit of experience for them to hire you on. Most of them required 2 years or at least something, and I did not have that. So I honestly was looking at a ton of brokerages and applied to a couple online, And to be quite honest, they were the first ones that answered the phone, picked up the phone. I didn't get a voicemail or an automated email back. It was a real person.
Very interesting. Notes taken.
Yes, it was a real person that reached out to me in a timely manner, set up a call, and then just hearing their mission and vision.
They're all calling you right now, though, aren't they?
Oh my goodness! Every left and right. Are you wanting to join this brokerage or this brokerage? And every real estate agent gets those calls, but it's funny. Yeah. But yeah, so I kind of fell into momentum, but it couldn't have been more of a God thing in my mind to be with the people I'm surrounded with there.
Yeah, they must. I mean, I can only imagine, and we'll dig into it a little deeper here. I mean, the impasse you came to, you landed there in whatever, as like you said, you didn't have any. Your mom wasn't a real estate agent. You didn't have any other people. You had to draw from momentum, and they've given you great momentum here in the first 12, 13 months that you've been in the business.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is just totally awesome. I know I had written down some questions I do want to answer you before I dig into the real estate part of it. You reached a level in sports most people don't reach. To play college golf, I mean, college sports anywhere, and at James Madison's Division I school, and you were recruited. You were obviously, you must have been pretty good at Bartram, obviously to get their attention to do that. You've come out like gangbusters in 13 months. Just got your college degree, and here you did almost $10 million in real estate. There's real estate agents out there who have been doing this for many years, have never gotten anywhere near $10 million. What do you do to stay sharp? Now I have my, and what I'm leaning to is obviously I have these personal development books. This is where I go, or podcasts is what I listen to. What do you do to, especially as a young person too, to sharpen your skills and to appear, because I imagine you get a lot of customers to look at you, you're 24, 25 years old. Do you know what you're talking about?
Yes, absolutely.
What do you do?
So I would say the first, better 4 or 6 months of real estate, I didn't do anything. I was trying to soak up getting a transaction under my belt because it did not come easily or quickly for me, actually. So the first part of it, I honestly didn't do anything. But now that I have kind of my head on my shoulders, I read a couple of books. My goal is to read more books this year than I have in the past. But goodness, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Richest Man in Babylon, house hacking. I'm kind of getting into investing, or at least interested in it. So doing that, I've been looking at getting different designations. I got my certified negotiation expert designation.
So you took advantage of the classes that are provided at NEFAR or the St. John's Board, wherever you're going to. You took advantage of those education provided.
Yes, absolutely. Took advantage of that. And then also Momentum provides extremely well training. They have just honestly a different mindset. It's not someone who maybe even hasn't produced anything in sales for real estate, reading out of a textbook, teaching you anything. It's real top producers who are invested in the agents themselves and providing a good work-life balance, and just trainings from them, honestly.
Who is, and I imagine it's probably someone in your office, I imagine, but not necessarily. Who is that go-to person for you right now? Is it your broker or another agent? Who is that resource for you that you pull from?
My go-to person is definitely Michelle Weaver. She has been in real estate also not too long of a time either. I think it's been 2 or 3 years, but she was previously in loans, and so she was in the industry, kind of knew about it. But I mean, goodness, anything I don't know, and especially as a new agent, because of course there's things that you don't know. The real estate,
you don't know license, what you don't know.
The real estate license court does not teach you how to get leads or anything like that. Right. So I had no idea what I was doing, and she really brought me up and helped me get my feet under me and expand from there.
All right, so I want to just let's dig into the real purpose, hopefully, is the inspire that we talked about, and some of the little nuggets that anyone listening, young, old, or indifferent, and even some of the more experienced agents may be able to take something that you're doing that maybe they're not, and add to their belt as well. over the course of the year, though, you're only able to retain so much. I mean, you know, as we read a book and we take maybe two or three things from it, maybe one thing. I know Ryan Serhant. I know the story in his first book. Have you read that book?
I have not.
You have not read that. Okay,
so I'm going to take a list from you.
You're going to take that book home because I got one for you right behind
awesome.
the desk there for you. And I always talk about there's a story in there, and everyone's listening. Well, if they've listened to all my 46 podcasts, God bless you. And please like and share and comment. But there's a story in there that I always tell, and he sends this postcard to this client he met. The guy went ghost. He still sent the postcard out to him like every month or quarter, whatever he was doing. And like 4 years later, the guy comes back and buys a $17 million apartment in New York. And he calculates in there, I think it's like 200 some odd dollars a day. Is what his commission was between the time he met him, started sending him the postcards, and then the time he got his commission check from selling him a home. And that was the one thing that story that sticks out of your book. So you've been 13, 14 months you've been at this. You've tried to get as much education as possible, but there's probably a couple of things that you go to on a daily basis, whether it's a marketing thing or how you handle someone on the phone. What are a couple of the things that you caught on early and has helped you launch yourself so quickly?
I would say one of the main things that has helped me, because being a young real estate agent, like you said, there's some people that will question your age and your experience and knowledge in the industry. Mm-hmm. And so really focusing more on relationships, because you're right. I'm 2 months into real estate. You're right. I don't have a ton of knowledge. Like, I just acknowledge that up front.
Right.
But say, like, I maybe, whereas a top producing agent, and this is not for all top producing agents, but I'm sure they're busy producing $20 million a year and having 40 customers, and where possibly you're just another transaction to them, where me, I'm brand new. I have a reputation to build. I want to build relationships with people. I'm in this more so for the long game. I'm not just trying to get a quick sale or anything like that. And so learning and just asking about their lives, like, what do they do for a living? What are their goals beyond real estate? Like, how to kind of see how is this house and this sale going to play into their overall life, and just being invested in them. And I think just being genuine and being genuinely interested in their lives and their goals will set you apart from all the other agents that are just asking you numbers left and right.
That is so amazing. Let me tell you, everything that I'm listening to, podcasts, any of these books are all going to mention that right there. The relationship building. I'm having a podcast here. I believe it's early in February. I have two ladies that I know. That is all they're doing. And we're going to talk about relationship marketing. And that's what you're talking about. When you have that client and making them feel the pedestal, because you don't know what rock you unturned. It might be that one deal. Mm-hmm. You get it? Okay. But you might unturn a rock, the most popular person in the world, and they're referring you, and all their brothers and sisters are moving into town, or all these things are going to happen.
Right.
You don't know who you're dealing with. And the fact that, just out of college, and the first thing you mentioned when I asked the question is relationships. Mm-hmm. And that is where I think a lot of people are missing the ball. Mm-hmm. And I think it bleeds into the social media a little bit, mm-hmm. because you let yourself, people get to know you on social media.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you must have saw that somewhere. Who's been some examples on the social media that you've like seen? I need to follow that, or did you go to a class and someone just went ding? That's what I'm going to do. How'd you?
Yeah, so I was not, I posted on social media as any normal college student would, but I had never looked at it as using it in a business realm or in a professional setting. And I would say the first person I came across was Stevie Hahn, which I believe you had her on the podcast, right?
Yes, she's going to be on again here in a couple of weeks.
Fantastic.
Talking, we're going to do a talk on investment properties with Kim Davis.
Fantastic.
From Ponte Vedra Beach Realty. So
I'll have to listen in.
Yes.
So she's the first person that I saw that really did real estate social media well. And I was like, okay. So I try to take her tips and tricks, and then honestly just kind of making it my own. And it took me a little bit to realize that people really want to see who you are. Like, yes, put out there that you're a real estate agent, share your successes and failures too, but more so who you are, because everyone has a real estate license. Everyone's had sales. So what sets me apart is just my personality. And who knows, maybe someone loves golf and I'm a great person to talk with and things like that. Just sharing little things about my life that will make that connection happen quicker and better.
100%. I mean, you're getting, I mean, here, okay, so there's two things right here we just mentioned in the last couple minutes we're talking here: relationship marketing, and then how social media is getting people to know you. We're in an age right now. I remember when I lived in Northern Virginia for most of the 90s, where we didn't really see your neighbor unless you were out shoveling snow on the day that you were all locked in your house because it was, the roads are all closed. Right. And we're all out we all got so many things going on, kids doing this, doing that, or whatever you're doing. But people are spending a lot of time on social media.
Yes.
Whatever the numbers are, I know they're high and they're bad. But the reality is you're popping up every day. You're top of mind. You're seeing, Daniel's got the picture there. I think he opened up with you with your goals. And if you go on Ella's Facebook and see her little TikTok that was beside there, it was great. But those are and Stevie will tell you the same thing when I had her on here. People get to know. I felt I knew. I'd never met, just like you came in here. We've never met before, face to face. Stevie came in, because I knew she was big social media, so I begged her for like 3 months. Finally, she came in, but I felt I knew something about her because of what she was putting on social media. And I think your clients are doing the same thing. And it could be the simplest thing of like, hey, this is a great restaurant. We hang out here. This is a great golf course.
Exactly. Yeah. And just like showing that you know the area and that you're personable, because no one really wants to work with an agent who's just simply in it for the numbers or like doesn't pick up their phone, doesn't answer their emails. And it's a lot more enjoyable to go through real estate when you love who you're doing it with. And so you want to work with clients who you work well with and just have that connection, and ultimately is what's going to, I'm sure, extend my business for years, because I'm going to have those relationships.
An agent said to me the other day, we were talking, because obviously we work with a very large builder here in town, and they decided to take the pictures off their website, of the site agents. And the agent said to me, I went on the site because I wanted to look up who the site agent was and see their picture. They wanted to see them.
Right.
And you get a lot of clients. I imagine probably more than 50% of your clients this year are coming from out of town. And they don't know you. And the first time they're going to meet you is going to be at a house in a neighborhood they don't know.
Right.
And so they want to go on social media and find out who you are. They're going to Google you and see what you have out there, so they know when they walk up, they want to act like they've seen you before.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They want to know who they're supposed to walk up to.
Yeah, they didn't walk up, are you Ella? No,
Right.
they want to know who you are and what you're all about.
Exactly. No, it's so important.
So those are just, I'm my soapbox here. I'm going to keep it very short. People, this is what it's all about: the relationship marketing and the social media. This is why this young lady's done almost $10 million in her first 12 months in the business. And really, I mean, you said you went you had the learning curve. So how many months were you in before you actually had your first sale?
I think I had my first sale on March 14th. So, and I had
about 4 months.
Yep.
4 months into the business. So from March 14th to where, because I think you put up $9.5 million is what you put on your thing.
Until December 31st.
Until December 31st. So literally in 9 months, she does $9.5 million. Now, some of you can calculate what a real estate agent makes in commission. Now, obviously, the broker's got to get paid a little bit there, but you are obviously making a lot more than the average attorney makes. I guarantee a lot of your classmates, the income that you created. Now, of course, the challenge is, can you do it this year, right?
Exactly. I know. It's every year's different. So.
Right. Now, Daniel, you had the picture up of her goal of 2022 of 14 million. I think, would you have 20 families on? Was it 20?
26 families. 26
families would get you based on your average purchase price, I imagine, which is, going up and great. So those two, so relationship marketing, social media, anything else that?
That, and I would just say when I first started too, I connected with so many agents because I didn't have a family member that worked in real estate. I had zero background other than strictly my license in real estate. So those few months where I wasn't having any sales, I picked at least 1 to 3 agents a week that I went and I took them out to coffee or got on a Zoom call.
Okay, where'd you steal that from? That's a great idea.
I don't know. I didn't steal it.
You didn't steal that from anyone?
No.
Okay. Somewhere you morphed that in I guarantee you by your personal development.
Sure.
Someone said you need to get out and meet the people, someone, and it might have been not directly related to real estate, but it clicked in your mind, hey, I need to meet real estate. Let's take them out to coffee.
Exactly.
This is not rocket science. I talked about Stevie Hahn a few minutes ago. She said the same thing to me. She did the same. She was going, I'm sure she had lenders that were willing to have coffee with her, but she was meeting with everyone that she could in the industry to really just heighten her learning curve.
Exactly. And one thing that I'm trying to expand upon this year too is even more so I talked to real estate agents so I could learn about real estate, but even talking about the surrounding industries like inspectors, like knowing more about inspections, knowing more about title. Like I know the general things, I get my people through the transactions, and even I just bought my first home, taught me a lot about the home buying process, and it's going to make me a better realtor. So having those vendors and just surrounding people to have your network with to really just give your clients the best experience possible.
100%. One of the things that I deal with on a regular basis from the lending side is I see a lot of agents don't understand the difference between the appraiser and the inspector. It's like, okay, well, why don't you go spend a couple hours, go on an inspection with one of them.
Right.
And they'll gladly have you on there because obviously they want to create a relationship with you to win your business, and have you refer people. Go and spend a couple hours with them and learn what they're doing, and how it works. And then what's the appraiser's role? If you're doing a VA or FHA loan, there's so many old wives' tales out there about what the appraiser is going to do, and they're going to blow up the deal. No, they're going to appraise the home and they're going to report the obvious.
Right. Exactly.
So if they see water damage, they have to report there's water damage. Okay, I mean those are common sense things, but understand how that process works. So when you are talking with your client,
right,
you act like you've done it 100 times.
Exactly.
Right. You did just buy your house back in December. If I not when you saw on your Facebook,
yes.
You posted there. So young person. Now, are you married? There's a gentleman in your life. I
yes,
see
he's
him
my
as
boyfriend.
Boyfriend.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You bought the house in your name, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Both
Good.
ours.
Good. Wait. But you're how old are you going to be this year?
I just turned 23.
Just turned 23. You've got your first home, which I imagine is not really probably even above and beyond a starter home, because you're doing really well, but you're implementing things that I wouldn't say anyone can do them. I mean, anyone can if they put their mind to it.
Right.
You're not recreating the wheel here,
Nope.
but you're doing the consistency in the things that these people that write these books tell you. Now, not to say there's a lot of people that write books have no experience. I mean, that it is out there, but there are a lot of ideas. There are a lot of people that take in ideas and then regurgitate them into a book and sell it. Right.
Right.
It's just other great people's ideas, but I love the simple things. And again, Stevie did the same thing. Hang out with bigger and better real estate agents that have been doing it for a while. Listen to their pains and groans so you can hopefully avoid them or understand them when they come and how to deal with them.
Exactly.
Because when you say that was one of the greatest challenges, obviously you're coming into a middle of a great market, but I'm sure they've all told you, make sure you're putting your chestnuts away to be prepared for that dry month,
season,
year.
Yep.
Yeah. I think fortunately for here, I think you're going to be well into your 30s before we see that just in Northeast Florida. It's my prediction, unless, God forbid, our government gets too involved in our economy and does something stupid. Yeah, because Northeast Florida, I think, is a gem, and we're going to be going west more so as we go into Clay County. And
they're building so many homes out in Clay County. I think it was over 30,000.
Oh, when that expressway comes in, when you get on a World Golf Village and scoot over there, and all the way down to Palatka, it's going to be, I think easily the next decade.
I agree.
For that, let alone what's going on in St. Johns County from that standpoint. And you're right in the middle of it.
Yes.
Yes. So staying sharp. So what do you foresee yourself? This is something I was thinking about this morning and thinking about questions I was going to ask you. You're so young. You've already had some great success, and God bless you. You're going to keep it going. I mean, do you like just being the solo agent, or do yourself? I mean, you're on a trajectory like to be Corey Hastings with Engel and Volkers, and I mean he didn't even start as young as you are, and he had great success quickly. And now has multiple Engel and Volkers. He's Engel and Volkers Jacksonville, basically. I mean, do you see yourself going that direction, or what?
Goodness.
Has those thoughts gone through your head?
Of course. Oh my gosh. I'm so big on goals and planning. I have like 5 different planners. That's probably not good. But, but of course. So I mean, who knows what the future holds, but I have learned so much in my first year, and I appreciate so much how Michelle Weaver and the team atmosphere at Momentum kind of has brought me up. And so I, of course, at one point would want to give that back, whether it's my own team or coaching or something like that. And then I also would want to get into investing too. So I hope to have a couple of investment properties and learn that realm of the business. It's a whole nother side of real estate that I'm just trying to tap into as well. So either a combination of both of those things, I would think.
So real estate's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
You're in. What your influences in your life? How I think there was a video I saw. You put something. Actually, I think it might have been. Was it? Yeah, it was the TikTok video. That's right. You were talking about naysayers and so forth. Is there some influence? Because you brought that up on your TikTok when you did that video we were talking about. Is there some people in your life that are naysayers right now?
I would say not that are super close to me. The people who I surround myself with do support me, but I think more so of just my peers in general, like the people I went to high school with and college with, just on different paths, and everyone's on different paths, and there's no necessarily right or wrong answer, but just the people who, and because I've had success so quickly, people kind of hate on you for that, I would say. Yeah. So there's a little bit of that, and of course there's going to be dry seasons. You seem
to be a humble person. I don't see anything on social media where you're like, hey, I just went and bought my Mercedes or something. No. I haven't seen that. I will say to the young people who are listening to this show, because you're here, your time will come. Ella's just made a path for you, though. What you've done so quickly, and I mean, and it's not like you're like, hey, she's the number one agent in the entire. You're not Melissa Ricks, but you quickly got there by doing the right things very simply. You stayed focused, and I'm going to tell you, whether you're 23, 33, or 53, it doesn't matter. If you want to implement the things, in your case, relationship marketing, social media, consistency, you went out and learned from the other people, you can do anything you want to do. That's a beautiful thing about this country. So, those haters, and we all have them, and a lot of them are family members, unfortunately. And I think we've all had that resentment sometimes when someone we know is a little more successful. Oh man, wish I got that break or whatever. But from a guy who's more than twice your age, your time will come. You just got to implement yourself, be present, like you have in the last year. You are in, and you blossom so quickly. Now, obviously, your challenge is to stay there. I mean, that's the stress, right? Can I keep it going? Right? Is it going to happen next year? That's sales, right? We're all worried, what's going to happen the next month? I know, I'm sure you got a few sales in process right now, and you're like, okay, well, that's going to get me through February. Exactly. I don't have anything for March yet. I got to start working on that. That's
the hard thing is you only know, when you get under contract, it's maybe, the next 30 days of what you're going to have. So you have no idea. So I have goals in place, and actually one thing I've taken from Stevie is 12-week goals, and so that's something I've implemented this year. And so that way I have like extremely clear understanding of where I need to be in 12 weeks, and just making that smaller, because of course the picture up there with my big 2022 goals, which of course is great, but it's like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do today? Like on January 14th, that's
Right.
going to get me to that goal.
Right.
So making them smaller is really helpful.
So that's an excellent question, or that I want to turn back on you, is, we often say, and even it's in the loan officer world, what we're doing now is, hopefully going to bear fruit in the next 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some things that you have done, early? Because, it's not like you have this big, long client list or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can probably put out some Christmas cards to your past clients,
Mm-hmm.
A couple dozen, right? That
Right.
You covered them all, right? Because it's your first year. So you don't have this huge thing, but what do you do? What are you doing tomorrow that's hopefully going to bear fruit for you in March and April?
Yes, that's a great question. So I actually, at least this year, I didn't do this last year, but this year I've made a spreadsheet of what my goals are for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the beginning of each week, I take okay, goal number 1, what am I doing this week to get to that goal? I need to spend 3 hours this week doing this. I put it on my calendar and time block those 3 hours. So doing that, so whether it's this year, I'm trying to focus on a couple of lead generation activities for at least 6 months to give it a consistent shot to see what works, what doesn't. I don't think it's fair to say, oh, I just made 100 calls today. I didn't get a contract. This doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So putting in the time, honestly, into different activities and knowing what my strengths are and what I'm good at. So
and what you enjoy doing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some marketing activities you don't enjoy doing.
Yep.
There's others you do.
Exactly. It's so funny because I personally don't like dialing. I love talking to people on the phone once I know them, but I don't like calling strangers.
Right.
It's just not genuine. It's not that relationship. It's a little harder to build when you're doing that. And so I enjoy door knocking, like going and meeting people face to face. That's what I did earlier.
Interesting.
And have found some success out of, not like an immense success, but it's something I enjoy doing. And I'm like, okay, how can I get leads, but also enjoy it and make it genuine and try and make it my own?
Well, one thing you've probably caught on quickly here is in the different neighborhoods that we have, mm-hmm. these people move in from out of town. They're telling their friends and cousins or whatever from wherever they're at, oh, how great it is. And obviously, like anyone, they want them to move to their neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And they are huge sources of referrals. Oh, my sister's looking to move, here in because they want them to come to their neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah. And I was just I pictured when you're talking about door knocking, like I would imagine when you have a listing, mm-hmm. you go out and go so many doors up and down and knock on the door and say, hi, I'm listing this house down here. You want to come by, or anyone who might be interested in it.
Exactly.
Right.
That, and I've even had, one time I was door knocking, there was a contractor that was working on some house out in his driveway, and he was like, oh, how are you doing? Made like small talk conversation. He was like, what are you passing out there? I was like, I'm a realtor. I had a listing in that neighborhood, mm-hmm. so I just sold it. So just seeing if anyone else is considering selling their home too. He was like, well, that's so funny. My son is looking to buy a house in Nocatee, but not for a few months, but can I give him your contact information and things like that? So it wasn't even a homeowner or anything like that, but you make that connection, you follow up with them, you stay in touch, and like they're going to be ready to get pre-approved in a month.
You don't know who they know. Mm-hmm. And we talk about, I talked about a lot on the show with different, being top of mind in the different marketing things we do. Whether it could be social media, it could be sending out a birthday card, whatever those things are you're doing regularly, because you never know. That day you posted on social media, who knows, a funny TikTok video, mm-hmm. and oh yeah, Ella, yeah, she's the real estate agent. Oh yeah, and then they go to a dinner party or a cookout, and someone says, yeah, I'm looking about. Well, you need to call Ella because mm-hmm. you just so happened to be at that time,
right? And
you have to create those situations for yourself.
You do, and I'm just now starting to see the fruits of that because I don't think I took social media or relationship marketing too seriously until probably the summer of last year. And so now people are just now starting to reach out to me either through social media or past clients. And so now it's just it totally comes full circle. I'm like, okay, what I'm doing is at least one way to, not the only way to do it, but a good way to do it. Mm-hmm. And just
Well, you enjoy doing it. Again, we'll mention Stevie for the 50th time. She obviously enjoys doing what she does. I mean, she's like totally Miss Social Media, and she's constantly, anytime I open my Facebook, she's right up there in the panels 9 out of 10 times that I look at my phone. And it's being top of mind, reminding, we forget names. I'm terrible with names, to be honest with you. I'm terrible with names. Too. And someone did a transaction with you, and it's going to be that time, 6 months, 6 years from now, and you're still posting on social media, oh yeah, I remember Ella, she was a great agent. And then that's when they're going to tell their friend.
Exactly.
And that's another deal. Because, the beautiful thing about both of our careers, there's a lot of money in real estate because people don't realize a lot of work that's done that we sort of don't get paid for. But it's part of getting paid. Right. It's the marketing. It's those things. The hours, we're not calculating hours going, oh yeah, you don't need a lot of fruit, but obviously having consistent fruit makes life a little easier.
It does. Not on that roller coaster.
Yeah, you don't want to get on that roller coaster. But a rock unturned today turns another rock, whether it's 90 days or 9 years from now, as you're still in the career. It's still another deal you put up on that month. And, if you have so many deals a month, or in your case, your 26 is your goal. So you're looking for a little over, 2 deals a month. We'll say 3. And, you're after that 3 right now. And hopefully you have some 4 and 5 months. And then because there's probably going to be a month you only have 1.
Exactly. That's what I'm learning real estate is.
Right. Yeah. We're luckily about Florida is we do consistently move through we're not like frozen in the wintertime, and also we do have stuff to do all year round.
That's true.
As far as the brokers. All right. Let me see what he got on here. We touched a little bit on momentum. But tell me, because I don't know a lot about. I know, obviously, I've seen a name around. One of my coworkers is doing a lot of your loans over there. A former coworkers, I should say, because she's over there now. What is it about momentum? Do you think? What is their attitude, their ideology that you think at least works for you?
I think the mindset and the fact that they are there to serve their agents, so will help us go out and be better agents for our clients. So they try to do everything in their power to create opportunities, whether it's trainings, flying in guest speakers, meeting with you one-on-one. I mean, my broker, Brittany Brooks, she helped me with this really hard transaction a few months ago, and she was on the phone with me at 10 o'clock at night, no problem. She has 2 kids, multiple businesses to run, but each agent still feels like they care about you, which then we take that attitude into our clients and make them feel special and up on a pedestal, and it just will translate into your business. So that, and then also just thinking big. I had never thought about investment properties or all these big goals that I have until being with Momentum, and that's something.
And being educated, exposed to the opportunities that are out there.
Right, and doing trainings on that, bringing in people, talking from the best, like Go Abundance speakers and things like that. I would never have had the opportunity to hear from them that people do pay thousands of dollars to normally hear and get access to. And so just that huge mindset and setting you up for success, they're just amazing.
Yeah, listening to what you're telling me and giving you access. It's like obviously anyone can buy these books, but you have mentors, I guess you want to say, people you look up to, and they obviously are on the right track. But what I wanted to do when you go. Let me put this. When I read these books or I listen to a good podcast, I there's this energy that comes out, a positive optimism. You can conquer it. You can do it. Because, we all go through it. And I'm sure in the last year, there was probably some times, especially in those first few months or even after your first sale, because now you got to go get the second sale. And you're like, is this really for me? How many times do you think you legitimately thought of I
couldn't count them on my hand.
Yeah. You're quitting. Yeah. But then you go and read a book, or they bring in the guest speaker.
Yep.
So these guys, they're on top of it from the standpoint of exposing you to that. Because if they left you to yourself, not saying that you yourself individually, but the average person, if they just left to themselves, would probably fall into that abyss of the negativity. But the consistency of the positive education, the opportunities, and bringing these guest speakers, and if they're a good speaker, it's probably because when you left there, you felt better about yourself.
Exactly. And you've learned something, and you know what to implement to push you forward.
Right. You took something, it may have been an hour and a half long speech or whatever, training, and if you were able to get one or two nuggets out of there, which maybe you could have condensed down to 10 minutes in the entire thing, it's worth it. And you've got to put yourself out there. We've talked about, I think it was talking with Corey Hastings, who was talking about speaking out in Vegas, and how important it is to be present. Go to the trainings. If you wake up, if you don't know what you're doing tomorrow, the 14th of January, don't panic. Go to NEFAR's site, go to St. John's Board of Realtors, go to Flag, wherever your Board of Realtors are, whoever might be listening to this. If you're in California, God bless you. Go see if there's a training.
Right.
Be engaged and keep moving forward. It will come.
It will.
Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's something to do every day. And like I said, if you don't know, trust me. But if you don't know what to do tomorrow, you probably need someone like the mentors that you have at Momentum, Miss Weaver, to go to and say, I don't know what to do today. I don't have, and trust me, there's thousands of things you can do. And I think that's what paralyzes people.
It's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. And that's what I think happens to people. They get paralyzed.
Yes.
Oh, there's so many choices.
And they get stagnant.
Yes. But would you agree? Because I think we talked a little bit about pre-show. Choose something. And actually I said this the other day, 10X it. If it's your social media, if it's the relationship marketing, or maybe a little combination of both, Grant Cardone, that's why this book is so popular, and the phrase 10X. Yes. 10X it. Go after it, consistency every day, and it will break through.
It will. Yeah. It definitely, because it was hard those first few months where I was making all the dials in the world every day, doing all these showings and nothing coming to fruition after 3 months. I mean, that's the main time where I was like, is this for me, or is this going to work?
You sit in an open house and no one shows up.
Exactly. I've had that.
Yes.
I've had that.
And if you're an agent and you've never had that, you haven't got it all yet.
Yes. So it's tough, but if you stick with it and you honestly, if you know your why of why you're doing it, it's going to make it so much easier, especially on those hard days where no one's walking through the door of the open house and people are rude to you on the phone, or your offer doesn't get accepted. It makes it worth it.
So you do an open house today. Obviously, we'll take this out a little out of context, because we know we do an open house today. It's really, you're hoping to probably find another buyer because the house is probably already sold.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already got offers already. You don't have to do an open house to get offers right now.
No.
But let's during normal times, when someone may not show up, what would you do to, that 2 hours or 3 hours that you may be blocking off the time you're sitting in that house? Are you sitting there twiddling your thumbs, or what are you doing?
Oh my gosh, no. I'm either planning out, because I try to plan out my social media a couple weeks at a time. So working on that, texting my sphere or my clients, the database, the little database that I did have, and just checking in with them, because there's so many people that will say, well, I'll buy in 6 months. And I was just on the phone with someone yesterday who I think I got that lead in February of last year, and she told me then it was going to be 6 months, and then it was another 3 months, but I still am on the phone with her yesterday. So checking in with them, or just reaching out to people, like if I see...
You're doing something engaging and moving your business forward. You're not sitting there twiddling your thumbs or shooting a bull with mom or something on the phone. You're moving your business forward, which really taps me into, and I'm maybe exposing something, because I have a great alumni association from the greatest school in the nation, the Citadel. And have you thought, I imagine it's coming through your mind, to be more involved? I mean, how involved are you at Bartram?
I'm not too involved at Bartram, so that's a good foot in the door to get into. Main points in my community, and like I was mentioning earlier, I'm trying to get more involved with just surrounding businesses and local businesses, and so that's one of my goals this year, is to just partner with people in the community. So Bartram is a great opportunity. I
think, and I can only imagine you're just going to agree with me 100% on this. Those people listening, we all have circles. If you're involved in things, get involved in something you like to do, and let everybody know what you're doing, because people like to work with like-minded people.
Exactly.
Whether it could be politics, it could be golf, whatever it is. And if you're involved in that, with time, it's not going to happen overnight. Hey, I joined that thing, but I didn't get any leads from it last week. So what?
Yeah.
Over time, though, you're going to influence that circle. Be involved. Be present. So my recommendation, as I was thinking, she graduated from Barton, would be immediately get involved with their booster club. Obviously, were you the best golfer on the ladies' side at Bartram at the time? Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah. So there should be some respect from that standpoint. And I don't know, get involved with the ladies' golf team at Bartram maybe. Maybe you fine-tune it to just that. Obviously, it's easier to get around with the football team because there's more parents involved.
Sure.
But that's some place to start. I will tell anyone, I see too many, if you think of just the things that you're involved in this case, we're talking about Ella's high school. I don't know if James Madison has an alumni group here. We do. I'm the president of, so I tap into that. But my brothers, they like to deal with, as we all do, like-minded people. And that they could pick up the phone and they feel you guys are already connecting because you went to the same high school together. You grew up in the same, neighborhoods and so forth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's so important to do that. And honestly, when you're talking to people for the first time, just finding those little points of connections, sometimes you have to really fight for those connections. You might not have that much in common, but someone says, oh, I have sorry, my dog's barking in the background. Just totally change the subject if the conversation's going on. Oh, what kind of dog do you have? And just try and get to know them. Any little foot in the door spot in a conversation you can see to go off and just get to talk about something in their life, do that.
I've made this suggestion to a couple other agents that have not taken advantage of this, and actually one moved out of the area, so she's not in the area anymore. Okay. I'm waiting for who is going to be the queen of the golf course communities. That's actually going to go out, and that way those golfers or those people who think they want to play, they come into Florida, they're going to play golf, right? Right. That they're gonna see you as the queen of all the golf course communities, and so they better call you because you know them all. What courses are the best? How they play? Yep. What kind of houses are in there? I'm waiting for someone to take that. I'm waiting for someone to take that angle.
That is true, and that's actually something I considered like the very beginning of when I got into real estate. And I think I just got too busy at the time that it came across my mind. But that's definitely something I want to go into. And gosh, if you go play a round of golf with someone, you have 4+ hours with them. You're gonna get to know them. Yeah. And so it's just a great opportunity.
Well, and it's if they're willing to go play golf with you too, they're interested in you. So it's an open thing because if they weren't really interested in you, they're gonna, I don't want to go. They don't think directly. They're just like, I'm too busy. Right. But they're like, oh yeah, no, I want to go play with Elle. That means they want to get to know you.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, 100%. All right, we're gonna round things up here because we're about 50 minutes in here, and I'm gonna finish with this question here, then go to my final round questions. In the past year, what would you have done differently?
What would I have done differently? I would have tried to get my confidence about me sooner, even if it was not really all there, because I so struggled in the beginning with being a young real estate agent.
Never sold a house.
I have no experience. You're right. I don't know what I'm doing. And so getting over that hurdle, and honestly that mindset that I set for myself of saying, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but saying I'm going to figure it out. And also just carrying myself in a manner that people will not smell the newness on you anymore, And so, because now I've had clients, at the beginning when I would talk to people, they'd be like, oh, and it doesn't help that I look young too, but even if was on the phone and they didn't see me, they'd be like, are you newer or younger? And I was like, dang it, how can they sense that? And so just having
so you're onto something, and let me tell you, you're in touch with yourself. You know where you're. That's such a great evaluation. How would someone in the same spot you were in a year and a half, 13 months ago? How could you have changed that?
So when I change that, and when I wish I did this sooner, is saying, like, in my mind, not to them, but saying, yes, I may not have the most experience, but I'm going to make this the best experience for them. So even if I don't know the answer, I'm going to research every single thing about this property, pull it up, know how old the roof is and the HVAC and things like that before I even go show these people these homes. And they're going to, oh, wow, like my other realtor 5 years ago didn't do that for me. Mm-hmm. And those aren't things that...
Or, of course, just answering the phone. Right. You're better than the realtor I called yesterday.
Half of real estate agents, I have to say. So that's one thing. Yeah. But just doing the little things that don't take any experience or has nothing to do with age, and just relaying that to them.
Focused on what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And I assume some of those things came from the other agents that have experience that, know this stuff about the house. And some people some agents probably blow it off.
Right.
And in your case, you're like, by knowing that stuff, I look more mature and more focused on what I'm doing.
Right. Exactly.
That is oh my goodness, this is a great pod. I'm telling you, you are on top of your game. You're so in tuned, could you have done, now someone actually going to be able to take that. Now, I think one of the things that also probably helped you is go out and hanging with those I wouldn't say more mature realtors, but technically they really were more experienced, definitely. And that gave you confidence. Because I think one of the things talking to, it takes years. I've been in loans for 16 years. You can ask me any question. I may not know the answer, and I won't say I'm gonna make one up or BS the answer. I'm gonna be able to answer it though with confidence and tell you at the same time that I need to go and actually look that one up, or let me make a phone call to someone who's smarter than me. I have no problem telling you I need to call someone smarter than me.
Exactly.
Because there are people smarter than you, but they're not as good as you as making that phone ring. Exactly. They're not as good as you as making that relationship.
Exactly. And that's what really switched that mindset for me, is saying, like, you know what? I am going to do everything I can for this client, and I know that. So at the end of the day, I'm in control of that, and so I can go get those answers, make those phone calls, even if I don't know that up front and sound like the biggest real estate whiz. I'm gonna get those answers for them.
Ella, you're killing it, girl. This is amazing stuff on this podcast. I'm telling you, this is from a 23-year-old young lady doing very well. I mean, the things that you're throwing back at me. I mean, it took a lot longer for this almost 52-year-old dude to get it. All right, 2-minute warning questions. Going to round it up here, although I'd love to talk to you for hours. I'm sure you have other things you need to do. Is it more important who you know or what you know?
I would say, at least how it's played out in my life, it's obviously a combination of both, but I think it started with who I know. And so being at Momentum and having those agents to talk to and learn from then helped me figure out what I know and studying, because in most cases anyone can look something up and study something and become an expert in a textbook and know something, which there is a value to that, but then how do you apply that to your community and the people you know and influence them?
I do it with loan guidelines all the time. Someone threw a question at me. Hopefully they're listening to the podcast. That we were doing a training upstairs, and I just did my little song and dance about get home loans, and this is what we do, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, and I mentioned pool escrow loans, and they were like, oh, well, with the hard time getting pool vendors out to the houses, it may take longer than 6 months. And what would happen after the 6 months? Because typically that's where the kind of the line is, 6 months after the loan closes. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great question. I can imagine this is what will happen, but let me get back to you. Luckily, they were up there for like an hour and a half, and I found it. Called some people, got some people that are smarter than me, because we have people here that support us because they're good at the textbook. They're in our operations and back office. Right. I make the phone ring, they make the loan close, and they were able to to resource that. But you don't know everything, but you know where to get the answer. Exactly. And be right up front with people that's hey, you know what? That's a great question. Let me call somebody smarter. Exactly. It's not a bad thing. What's on your travel bucket list?
My travel bucket
first of all, I
list.
got to ask this question. Has this man proposed to you?
We've went ring shopping a few weeks ago, so
Okay, all right.
I'm not jinxing anything
Not
now.
okay. He's just waiting for the right moment.
I'm assuming.
The right special
right?
moment. Okay. What's on you guys' travel bucket list? Honeymoon.
Goodness, at a young age, I went to so many different countries, but I don't think I would have the same appreciation for them as I do now. So I've been to Italy, but I want to go back because I was 7 years old, I think, when I went.
Right,
Goodness.
Yeah.
I want to go to Italy. I would love to go to Greece and honestly Hawaii.
What were some of the places you played golf? You said you played some international rounds.
I played in Scotland when I went for
Cool.
golf, and so that was really cool. Of course, I was at a young age, but I played in the European Kids Championship. I forget the title. But,
Wow, that's cool.
So that was cool. So I've been over there in Ireland, London. So I've done that. But I would love to go to those places in Norway, actually, because that's part of my heritage, and I hear it's beautiful.
I keep seeing pictures. I have 2 girls that came over as exchange students. I grew up on Cape Cod. They were from Norway. They were twins. Played great. They're great basketball players. And they'll post pictures on Facebook or Facebook friends, and I'll post it out like, yeah, that would be really cool. And then there's some great things on the Travel Channel too on Norway. And stuff.
Yes.
That's an interesting one. Who do you think would be a great guest on my show?
Michelle Weaver.
Michelle Weaver.
She's amazing.
Okay. You drop it, and then I'll send the invite.
All right.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, you need to have her on the show.
I need to have her on the show.
She has so much knowledge and nuggets that anyone can take from her.
Right. Ella, I just, I think Daniel will agree. This is one of the best podcasts. We keep saying that it's been great. But every time you bring somebody in, you don't know what's going to happen. And like I said, I've never interacted with you personally, other than on social media or whatever, liking what you're doing and so forth, and then seeing your numbers and all that stuff. And then obviously, she's 23 years old. Is she going to be able to carry on a conversation? I mean, you're killing it, girl. The sky is the limit for you. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to be long and dead and buried before you ever retire from real estate. But I mean, you are going to be one of those movers and shakers in Northeast Florida, unless you get so good you go and move to New York City or LA or something like that and sell with those guys.
I can't see myself going there,
but best of luck for you, and I thank you for coming on the show. Those of you who are listening on the podcast, especially from Apple or Spotify or whatever, please. Like, share, please make a review. Tell Ella how great she is, because she is. And now, if someone wanted to just reach out to you and maybe they had some questions about the show, what's the best way to reach you?
Either by social media or phone number. So my social media is Ella Page Florida Homes, and then I can leave my phone number in the comments for you. Yeah,
it'll be in the comments page, blah blah. And of course, you're on Facebook, so you just search up and just instant message you through Facebook.
Absolutely, easily. I always answer my phone.
Yes, isn't it? I don't understand it. Thanks, Ella, for being on the show.
Thank you so much.